Hello chess friends, this is Fight Master Valeri Lilov, and today I'm going to show you one very interesting trap variation in the Semi-Slav defense. This trap was firstly prepared and promoted by one of the greatest chess masters of the 20th century, German master and challenger for the World Champion Cup, Emil Bogoljubow. So the opening system where this trap happens to be possible is the so-called Semi-Slav defense. The Semi-Slav is one of the most popular opening systems in our time, and there are a lot of chess players almost from any level that are choosing to play it for both white and black, since it gives a lot of possibilities for a very interesting and creative middle game play. So in these years, the Grandmaster Emil Bogoljubow had prepared one really interesting trap variation for white to meet this opening. So the game is between Bogoljubow, who is playing with white, and his opponent Solomon Borisovich Gothilf. This game was played in Moscow in 1925, and it's a really very interesting game. So let's look at this. d4, d5, c4, c6, knight to f3, and knight to f6. Well, we have the initial position of the Semi-Slav defense, and of course here there are a lot of continuations that white may choose. He could choose to play bishop to g5, or also he could choose bishop to f4. Very popular continuation these days is the g3 line. And there are many variations for white, and most of them are really good. However, in this game, Bogoljubow chose to play the move pawn to e3, which is considered to be not such a good line for white, because the main idea which white has in the Semi-Slav is somehow to make the dark square bishop more active. So when white plays pawn to e3, he's making the dark square bishop really passive on the c1 square. So maybe he will try to activate it with some idea connected with b3 and bishop to b2, and this bishop will look somehow good in the center, in the central squares on e5 and d4, but still he will be somehow passive on this position, because the pawn on d4 will block the diagonal of the bishop. So e3 is not considered always to be the best line for white, and that's why it's happening to be a rare continuation in the modern chess practice. Anyway, after e3, in this game black played the move bishop to f5, which seems to be a logical idea. Well, black is doing okay with his light square bishop. The idea is next move to prepare e6, and the bishop will be placed very well on f5, that diagonal h7 and b1, and he won't have the problems that white will get with his dark square bishop, and at the same time he will try to prepare some development after e6 with bishop to d6, a short castle, knight to d7, and a very good opening development. So in this position, white choose to play pawn to takes d5, c takes d. Black continued with c takes d. Of course, it will be not a good idea if black chooses to take on d5 with some piece, because white could simply play some move even like bishop to d3 or knight to d2, and he could prepare pawn to e4 in some of the next moves, and he would get good chances to fight for advantage in the center. So for this reason, after c takes d5, black choose to continue with c takes d and fight for the central square on e4. So black took on d5, and white continued with the knight to c3, development of the queenside knight. So white's idea probably is now to go with some move like queen b3, simply to develop the kingside bishop on e2 or b5, to castle on the short side, and probably to hope for some kind of opening initiative, some kind of a queenside initiative on there, but I can say that the Semi-Slav chess players and admirers know that when white takes on d5, with c takes d and goes to the variations of the exchange Semi-Slav, it's really hard for white to achieve some kind of advantage, especially if if black knows exactly how to develop his spaces. So it's much harder for white to fight for some advantage in the exchange Semi-Slav than the normal variations, which are considered to be best for white. So black is experiencing no much problems in this. He will try to develop in the same way with e6, bishop to d6, short castle, knight c6, and so on. So it was white, actually, Gothilf, who is playing with black, fought in the game, and after knight to c3, he continued with the move pawn to e6, just making possible bishop to d6 in the next move. And it's very interesting, after pawn to e6, white continued in this position with a move knight to e5. And it's a kind of a strange move, because white cannot do anything with this knight forward, because it's only one piece, and in the same time black will get a good chance to offer an exchange. For instance, he could play a knight to d7 this move, he could play bishop to d6 in some of the next moves, and white will be forced to exchange this knight, after which he will be 2 temples down. Well, white will have played knight to e5 and knight takes d7, which will be only on the black's hand. So what was the main purpose why white continued with the move knight to e5? Well, I will explain you this, but a couple of words about what should black do in this position. Well, of course, if black plays some move like knight to c6, it seems that white will get the chance to take on c6, and probably black will get some weaknesses there. Well, he could try to play c5, but now c5 will be connected with some weaknesses, because white will get the chance to play bishop b5, so black should castle on the king's side first, and then he could try to promote c5 in order to make a stable pawn structure. But however, if black doesn't want to do it, he could try to continue with some move like bishop to d6 or something like this. But all of these moves, bishop to d6, knight to c6 and knight to d7, are connected with one very strong move by white as a reply to them. So the best move in this position that black could choose now is knight to f to d7. The idea of this move is very much the same. Black wants to exchange the white's knight on e5, but this move is avoiding a lot of problems. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So in the game black played knight b to d7, and here is the main point of the white's plan with knight to e5. Bogoljubow promoted one really great idea, which is something really unusual for the closed positions and Queen's Gambit and Semi-Slav. So the move is pawn to g4, just hitting the light square bishop that black has and putting to him a lot of problems.